I'm here to talk to you today about the JVC GY-HM650. Now this, and along with the other camera in the range, which is the JVC HM600, they were both announced at NAB last year, and this is the first time I've actually got to use it and hold it in my hands and really work with it. And I have to say I really like it. I feel tremendously familiar with this camera even though I just started using it, and I would say that's because this camera builds on the legacy of many other cameras that have preceded it. And I'm not just talking JVC. It seems to have taken the best from a lot of the other models out there and combined them all into one unit, which fits beautifully in the hands, is really nice to shoot with, and is very capable. Now let's talk specifics about what we got here. Now, as I mentioned, there's two cameras in the range. There's a 600 and 650. The 650 is a more capable camera, and that comes with a whole load of features which are not found in the 600. Now I'll just start by mentioning the 600 is basically a camera designed to pick up and shoot with and get out and run and gun and do news, E&G, documentaries, all that sort of work. The 650 is the same thing again. That sort of camera, run and gun, shoot quickly, move quickly, get good quality results, but it offers more features. Now the killer features in the 650, which you don't find in the 600, you can record dual codecs simultaneously. Now in the back of the camera you've got two slots for SDHC or SDXC cards. Very affordable media, easy to get hold of. Now when you're using the more expensive model, you can actually record high definition on one card and standard definition on the other. Now that means a lot in certain environments where you must have a standard definition record. Of course you want the best quality, which is the HD, but at the same time you get SD. And there's a lot of places still broadcasting SD, so it needs to be considered. Now it's not just recording HD and SD at the same time. You can record what's actually a low resolution format, which is a 480 by 270 low res file, so HD on one card, low resolution on the other. Maybe you think, why would I want a low resolution 480 270 encode? Well, it's very good for putting straight out on the internet. They can be used as proxies. It's just something that doesn't take up very much space at all and gives you a web ready file. Now there's another interesting feature with the 650 which you don't find with the 600. FTP file upload via Wi-Fi or broadband. If you want to simultaneously, while you're actually recording, feed that signal out at the same time, well, it can be done. Another feature is that it's got a built-in GPS, so you can record information of where you're located in the world, what time it was done at, and all that information is recorded as metadata. That could be particularly useful on news shoots. There's another feature which will enable you to broadcast from the camera to an Android device or an iPad or another mobile device, so you can actually, if you're shooting, someone else, a producer perhaps, can keep a good eye on what's going on so they know what's been recorded. Not only that, the 650 will also record different codecs. So the codec support covers XDCAM EX at 35 megabits a second, or you could do HDV at 25 megabits, or even another form of HDV which JVC ran for quite a while, which is at 19 megabits a second. It will record AVC HD, or it will record standard definition. Now in addition to that, the media format compatibility on the 650, it will do MXF, .mov, MP4 or AVC HD. So the flexibility is there in the 650 to do more than the 600, but it's got to be said the picture quality is going to be exactly the same, particularly if you're recording XDCAM EX, which is a codec I like. Let me just talk a little bit about XDCAM EX. Now, the JVC implementation of XDCAM EX is particularly nice because it puts it direct into a QuickTime wrapper, and it is just a wonderfully quick turnaround to take those .mov files straight into Final Cut 10 or Final Cut 7 if you're still using that. So for the Mac-based people, there's a big advantage, and I think XDCAM EX is a robust format, and it's proven and it works great. Now I do have to say that it's 35 megabits a second. If you want 422 on this camera, you've got to take it out the back. Now it will take 422 to an external recorder, and it has actually been said by the EBU that the 600 650 cameras are suitable for news recording direct to XDCAM EX, and if you want to go further for long form programming, well then you put on an external 422 recorder. Now, something I particularly love about this camera is the lens. Now, the lens is a 23 times lens. That means in 35mm terms, you're going to get the equivalent of 29mm to 677mm. That's a big reach, and it really, when you're out there shooting, I mean, which I've been doing all week with this, you really feel how much it's actually giving you. Now, that's made possible because they've used a 3rd-inch sensor. Now, it seems the world has become obsessed with large sensors, which I do understand, because the large sensors do give beautiful images and they give fantastic low light performance. But there's serious advantages to having a smaller sensor. First of all, I mentioned the 23 times lens. That's a big deal. Beyond that, it's a lot easier to run around, run and gun, shoot and get everything in focus when you haven't got a sensor that's basically super 35mm or full frame 35mm. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the big sensors as much as anyone, but I do appreciate the trade-offs that you get when you do go into a larger sensor, and the advantages, meaning the 23 times lens, that you get because the sensor is not so large. So this camera has got a lot going for it. Now, in the words of JVC, I want to give you a quote here. Mobile news gathering is now faster and better than ever with the introduction of the GY-HM650. Small and light enough to be used anywhere, this advanced camera surpasses the performance of many traditional E&G style units and offers capabilities never before available on any model. Now, when they talk about capabilities never available before on any model, what they're actually referring to is the dual recording capability for different codecs, SD and HD, all at the same time. As far as I'm aware, there's never been a camera that's offered that. And also the fact that you can do AVC HD or XDCam EX. I mean, that's quite a bonus. Okay, I've spoken a fair bit. What I really don't want to do is get overly caught up in the specifications and the size of the sensor, a 3rd inch versus a 1/2 inch. What it really comes down to is the pictures and how usable the camera is. I talked about how usable it is. In my hands, I can truly say it's one of the best cameras I've held. It's light, it's nice, it's all there. It's got everything you need, XLRs, phantom powering, but I just like the way it feels. It's nice and manageable. And of course, with the audio, you've got all the control you need, meaning whether you go to channel 1 and channel 2, you can choose to monitor only channel 1, channel 2, or both, which is a nice touch. And it's just a camera that works. And a few other nice features. You've got the focus assist, which gives you a bit of an outline, which you see in other cameras as well, but it works very well in this camera. Now, there's one other thing I want to mention, which I think is a huge deal, which is the camera works absolutely brilliantly in automatic. Now, you may wonder, why on earth would you want to drive a camera in automatic? I mean, obviously manual is the way to go to get the best results, which is true. But when you're running around quick and you need to get that shot, throw it into automatic, throw it into autofocus, and I kid you not, the camera performs absolutely brilliantly. Now, I'm not suggesting that you want to be in auto all of the time, but it is a facility which you want to use. I've used other cameras that perform absolutely terribly in automatic, and beyond the fact that it's a really good performer in automatic and manual, don't get me wrong, you've got the aperture control at the back of the lens, manual zoom in, which I already mentioned, manual focus, gain controls, obviously white balance, which you need. But if you do choose to work in automatic, if you go into full auto and then you press AE lock, auto exposure lock, the exposure will not shift, and that's a big deal. I mean, I'm the sort that would tend to drive a camera in manual anyway, so I'm not a big fan of automatic, but on this camera I am. Okay, I have spoken enough about what this camera does and the specifications and the lens and the size of the sensor. All of that is just detail. What I really care about is the pictures, so let's check out some of what I've shot this week. A lot of this was just getting to know the camera. To be perfectly honest, I haven't even looked at the manual. I picked it up, I got to grips with it very quickly, and it's a joy to use. I enjoy shooting with it. Now, one more point I want to comment on is the viewfinder. Now with this sort of camera, most of the cameras I've used, I've relied on shooting off the screen. This one, I use the viewfinder more than anything. It's got a brilliant viewfinder. It's bright, the colours are fantastic, it's good for judging focus, good for judging exposure, and I'm happy to say that finally an affordable camera is coming with a viewfinder where you basically can use it and rely on it.